Hi everyone, my name is Harley and welcome to TransByDef. Today's topic is depression and dysphoria. So I'm just going to read a couple definitions so everyone can kind of come in together of knowing what I'm talking about. For depression, a true clinical depression is a mood disorder in which feelings of sadness, loss, anger, or frustration interfere with everyday life for weeks or longer. So in case some have never felt depression, but that's really what, depression makes you push into that low feeling of unmotivated, hopeless, despair, and sometimes outcomes happen where people commit suicide because it's really bad. You get to that point and you just can't take it anymore. So another definition is called dysphoria, and it's a state of unease or generalized dissatisfaction with life. Dysphoria causes depression in a way. Being in a state of dissatisfied with life makes your mood very sad, and you're just frustrated that you can't, change that, and to add on to that is gender dysphoria. And gender dysphoria is, gender is the cause of the state of unease or dissatisfaction with life. So if you can kind of see how these all go together and correlate with each other. And if you can't understand that so far, you might want to replay this. But what I'm trying to get to is gender dysphoria, it's not a choice, and it's never that way. And, there's transgenders out there that don't suffer gender dysphoria. They transition because it's easier for them to live the life as a woman or as a girl, as a boy, as a woman, as a girl, as a man, or as a boy. I guess I could put it that way. But there are transgenders out there that suffer from gender dysphoria, and one of the treatments is to transition. Now, dysphoria, gender dysphoria, this is a feeling. So I've said this before in one of my videos. It's very hard to explain what a feeling feels like, because if you haven't experienced it, it's difficult to understand it. But if you've experienced depression, you can say that, well, the cause of depression is someone's gender. Their gender is the cause of depression. And until that's corrected, they're always going to feel depressed. And that's really what happens. I mean, now, don't mark my words that they'll always feel depressed, but for me, 24 years, I've tried my hardest to not transition. And for 24 years, or I would say 20 years, I've been depressed for 20 years. You can't live like that. I mean, it's easy for someone else to say that, oh, what you're doing is just not right. It's easy for them to say that because they haven't experienced it, and you just gotta keep that in mind, So 24 years, when I turned 24, I just had enough of it. So an option to treat gender dysphoria is to transition. And what I mean that's an option is some people don't do it, and that's their choice. For me, I just couldn't hold it inside anymore. And knowing that I transitioned, it actually helped my dysphoria. It helped me. There's society that still affects being transgender, but that's what happens when you come out of the closet. You have to expect those situations. It's very similar to the gay communities, because you're coming out of the closet and there's people out there that are very discriminate against the minorities, and that's something you have to understand. before I transitioned, suffering gender dysphoria really causes this deep depression. And depression, you get unmotivated from doing anything. And what it actually unmotivated for me to do was actually follow my dreams. My career path is much different than what I wanted to do. But I'm fine with what I've done in my career path. But is it what I really would have done if I didn't have gender dysphoria? Don't know. But also, you know, it actually was, having gender dysphoria was actually also another cause of being unmotivated to transition, because you feel pointless. It was just, to me, it was pointless to transition. I felt like it wasn't going to help, or I felt like it was, you know, it might help but it might make things worse. And it just postponed it for all these years. And because you don't want to commit to it, you know, when you're feeling depression, you just don't want to commit to anything. And, you know, even music, I would start my music and then I stop. And I would read a book and then I stop. You know, I just had no motivation from start to finish. And, you know, sometimes I'll push myself when I know it needs to be done. But depression kind of holds you back. During transition, and like pretty much now, depression eases because the dysphoria eases up too. You start losing the frustration because now you're able to do things you want to do. You know, I was getting so frustrated where, you know, I would pass women's department and I'd be like, I just want to go in there and shop and get clothes that are girls' clothes for me. And it was just so frustrating. Or like, when you know you can, like, when you know guys are just supposed to do this based on gender stereotypes, and then there's girls, and it's like, well, if you do it, you're gonna, it's like, it's just that gender stereotype. And now that I'm pretty much out and about, so it doesn't really matter what I do. If I do something guyish or if I do something girlish, it doesn't matter now to me. And it actually just coming out helped ease that frustration. And also like starting to look feminine. You know, when that started happening, it started easing this dysphoria, because I was like, wow, I'm looking like a girl, and that's what I want. But dysphoria still comes and goes when you're transitioning, because sometimes you still see the guy in the mirror, or sometimes you still feel like the wrong gender, and, you know, so you get really frustrated at that, and you know, it starts bringing some depression over, and you're like, gosh, you know, but you just have to kind of come to terms that, you know, I'm going to be transgender, and I'm going to be better than what I was before. And if you can come to terms with that, then you'll be fine. I just do want to add another thing, is progesterone. I remember I did a last video on this, and progesterone actually brought me to more depression, because I doubled my increase with the doctor, you know, prescribed it, and I started noticing that I was getting unmotivated again. Like, I stopped with music, and I was like, what the fuck's going on? Like, I'm not motivated doing these things. And I just, you know, then all of a sudden it was just like, things were just like pointless. I was starting to think, I hate my life, why is this like that? And I got so low, like really low. And what I mean by really low is like, before nothing was compared to this, that I got so low that I wanted to opt out of life. And it was scary, because this wasn't too long ago, and it was like just being filled with despair and just knowing, you're like, fuck, I don't know what to do. And, you know, then I went to the doctor, and the doctor told me to cut off progesterone, and progesterone kind of mellows you down, and I didn't realize it. And as soon as I'm off of that, like 3 weeks now, I'm like feeling better. And, you know, because of that depression round, I blew off some opportunities in life. And I realize that, but I just have to get over that. So I'm just going to kind of conclude it, but here's pretty much a final thought, really. Many people don't understand what dysphoria feels like or what gender dysphoria is, and it's only really up to us to kind of, inform them, hey, this is normal to us in a sense, and we know what it is. You have to kind of understand us and things like that. You're gonna have these internet trolls out there, and I've seen a lot of them. I recently got one posted, and I'm like, realizing it's not important to pay attention to those trolls because they just don't understand. I mean, you're always going to get like some guy out there that says, you were born a man and you will die a man. Well, once you die, are you going to care if you were died a man or not? I mean, I don't think so. What matters is, this is the part where they don't understand, what matters is what you're doing right now with your life and how you feel at that moment. I would rather, do this, and I don't care how I die, but as long as I know that I didn't live depressed all my life, because that would just be stupid. Anyways, so don't listen to them. Don't listen to those internet trolls. They're there to start trouble. They're there to make you feel bad, and they're just behind this protection, this wall of protection, which is their screen. And most of the time, they probably would not say that straight to someone's face, because they'll be afraid that someone will punch them in the face or stab them or something like that. I don't know. There's just that blockage. But know this, transitioning may help you improve your life. And what I mean by may is like some cases where you lose family, your friends, you just lose everyone and your life goes downhill from that. That's some cases that may happen, but transitioning may make you feel better about yourself, and you might be able to find new friends, and there's always some goods to that. But transitioning does help. It helped me out. It's improving my life a lot, and I'm going to end it there. I know that's been pretty long, but I'm going to end it.